Hey everyone, it's Sami from Sami's Sweet Life, and with any luck you will see this video as a kind of run-on vlog. I'm going to be secretly vlogging this process, and if you see the title of this video, you'll know it has been successful. We are really trying to get our house sold behind the scenes. Right now, we are trying to use a company. A couple of days ago, we put in our information at Open Door. It is a company that will buy your house outright and they go to sell it. And basically you pay them some sort of transaction fee versus paying a realtor. So we put our information into their website and they're supposed to give you an offer back within 48 hours. Well, they were really quick to write us back and say they couldn't give us an offer at all. He gave me like this canned thing, like that certain houses like yours have too many risks associated with it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, what are the risks? Because we need to know that. If we're gonna go the traditional route, we need to know what we're up against here and what our risks are. And he did end up writing me back really quick. And he said, because there's so much new construction going on, it's really hard to compete with that when you're an existing seller. And we know that, and we knew that going into it, so we were hoping we could do one of these quick sale type of things. It's different than those like we buy homes for cash and they really lowball you and then flip the house for a profit. This company and similar companies to this take a percentage. They're making the majority of their money on these transaction fees. They're buying the homes for reasonably competitive prices minus the percentage you're giving them. So like with a realtor around here, it's the standard 6%. So whatever you sell your house for, take 6% off of that, and that's what a realtor will get. They split it between the two realtors. And we would really like to skip the whole selling the house situation. And so we're looking into these little companies. They're becoming more popular. I ended up putting in some offers for a couple of different ones. The benefit of living in a big place with a pretty hot real estate market is these companies do exist here. So Open Door is a newer one to Austin, but there's actually a couple other ones. I'm still waiting for an offer on one of them. And then one of them gave us a pretty reasonable offer that I think we're going to accept, depending on what we hear back from the third company that we submitted to. I am super duper psyched about the possibility of just selling it to one of these companies outright and not having to get the house ready to show, not have to keep it clean for months. There are definitely parts in Austin where you can sell your house the same day you put it on the market or even before it actually goes into the MLS. Like there's such hot sections of Austin. Ours does not happen to be one of those sections. A lot of people moving out here want to build a house. That's originally why we came out here in the first place. We were trying to build that house. And so we're competing with that when we're going to put the house on the market. And I've talked to a few different realtors in the area and they say it takes about 60 days. There are other houses that sit on the market way, way longer than 60 days. I don't know how exactly they're getting that 60-day on average thing. Is that the houses that end up selling at all? Does that include the houses that people put on the market for months and months and don't actually sell their house? There's a lot of houses that have just been on the market for months and months, and this is something I look at every couple of days. I look at what houses are around here, what houses are in the areas that we are interested in moving in. We look at rentals and houses to purchase, so I really know what's out there in the certain areas. I know what's in our neighborhood, and they sit for a long time. I would really, really, really like to avoid that. It's kind of one of those situations that I don't really care like how much it costs us to a certain extent. I mean, obviously we want to get most of our equity back, but to be honest, when you're selling a house in like a year and a half from when you bought it, you're not going to make bank most of the time. You're not going to see a really big appreciation. You're not going to make a profit on that house for the most part. There are different situations where you can, but in our case, like we'll be lucky to break even, and that's if we're lucky. And if we're not lucky, we're gonna lose our butts and we're gonna sit on this house for months and months. That's also pouring money into getting the house fixed up and really nice and show ready, and also keeping the house really nice, being able to show it at a moment's notice and the stress that goes along with selling the house. I assume a lot of you guys at this point have sold a house as well. It's just not a fun process. We were so blessed when we moved here that we were able to move out of our house and sell it as a vacant house. So it was already like perfect. We didn't have to deal with people coming in and out, and we were already moved here by the time our house sold there. If we go to sell it the traditional route, we will live in the house. We will have to keep it show ready and keep it spotless. And that's just something that sounds exhausting and stressful to me. I'm not gonna lie. It just does not sound like something I want to do. And so if we can avoid it, I want to do that. So we have one offer. It'll cost us a few $1,000s extra to do that. I'm all for it. Like I want to jump. I want to do it tomorrow. And so we're going to look at this offer, look at the next offer, and see where we fall. Johnny's actually going to get in touch with our attorney today to see if we can send him over a contract, because when we say that we like that offer, they will send us the contract and we'll just sign it. That'll be the first step in the puzzle. Basically, they've already shown us the number, they've already shown us the transaction fee and the estimated costs for things like the title, and there's other like transfer fees and things. And we looked back at our transaction summary for the house when we purchased this one, and their extra fees like the title fee and stuff were right in line with that transaction sheet that we have from when we bought this house. We can see how much the sellers paid and all that kind of stuff. So it's really not that different. So we have basically all the numbers already. We know how much we would get back, except that doesn't consider repair fees. And from what I've read about all these little companies that do the same thing, I say little companies, but they're not. They're big companies, like multi-million-dollar companies that do these house purchases. From what I've read about them, the repair costs are not like nitpicky little things. They're like things that actually have to be done. So it's like messed up walls where they have to be repainted. They'll give you a repair fee for that. If anything needs to be replaced, like light fixtures or door stops or tub stops, things like that, plug covers, light switch covers, anything missing, they will charge you for that. And from what I've heard online, they charge you a whole lot more than like if you were to do it yourself or pay somebody else to do it. The repair fees seem to be higher, so that's an unknown for us, whether or not that's true. So we've gotten some quotes on a couple of things that we're gonna need to get done to the house, and we'll see how their repair quotes fall in line with the ones that we've already received. With the repair things, they also give you the ability to do it yourself. Like you can get the work done or you can pay them to do the work, and my whole thing is like, let's make this as quick and painless and stress-free as possible. Let's just have them do it. As long as their repair numbers are okay, and this is one of the things that's supposed to be negotiable as well. If they're saying, oh, you need this repair, it costs $2,000, and we're like, wait a minute, our contractor said $1,000, then you have room for negotiation. Hopefully we can negotiate if their fees are ridiculous. I expect to have some repairs, but I don't expect it to be astronomical. Our house is still really new, so it shouldn't need major things. And we just had it inspected a little over a year ago, and everything, you know, the major systems and stuff were perfect. So I don't anticipate there being some sort of bombshell that would need to be replaced, but whether or not we pay them to fix it or we fix it ourselves, it's gonna have to be fixed when we go to sell the house, no matter what way we sell the house. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're going with one of these companies. I think as long as their repair estimations and inspection stuff comes back relatively reasonable, I think we're gonna go with it. And it's kind of crazy because this stuff can happen quick. Like, you don't have to wait the 30-day closing for this. Basically, like, once we sign the offer, they can get the inspector out within 3 days. And as long as we agree on the repair costs, we can get this done pretty much whenever. So we're looking at like next week we could sell the house if it goes like perfectly smooth. Of course, there's a lot that goes in with that. We need to find somewhere else to live. So we started looking at rentals, like hardcore. Could we actually live in this house? Hopefully going through that, we'll be able to talk to the attorney today or tomorrow, send them the contract over, and be able to, you know, sign everything, make sure everything's legit and on the up and up, and then get the ball rolling. And we'll actually have to go like start looking at rentals. Really, really excited, especially after the first company. The first company was Open Door, who like declined giving us an offer at all. After that, I was crushed. I was like, oh, I really, you know, I honestly almost didn't care how much it cost just to get out of the house. And for them to say that they wouldn't even give us an offer, I was like, oh, it hurts my heart to think that we're gonna have to go the traditional route, because I'd really like to avoid that. I would just like to get it done and not have the stress of all of that. It is just a big burden to have to sell your house. It's kind of an invasion of privacy too, with people coming into your house. They can go through your stuff, and I know I'm guilty of it. Like, I open cabinet doors and look in all the closets when I'm looking at houses to buy, and it's really an invasive process when you're selling your house, and I just don't want to do it. We got really lucky. We avoided it last time. The company that we're using now is actually an Austin-based company. To get an offer from them was awesome. I just couldn't believe it. And looking at the number versus looking at what we could potentially make, it's right in line with what we thought we would be able to sell this house for. So I don't think their estimate was totally unreasonable or anything. It's just that extra percentage for their transaction cost that's the difference in selling it to them versus selling it to somebody else. But really, if you think about it, if your house is on the market for months, you're pouring money into it, I think it would really even out. Like thinking, okay, the average in this area is 60 days, let's say 90 days. So it would take us 90 days to sell this house. That's 3 more months of mortgage you're putting into the house, and you're not seeing a whole lot of that back because only a certain tiny percentage of that goes to the principal. So it doesn't turn into equity. It just turns into see you later payments. That would eat up the difference really fast when you have a big mortgage like we do. The longer your house sits, the more room people have to negotiate the cost down. And so we're looking at ideally getting a certain number that, yeah, was a little bit higher than their offer, we think, but that's after it's sitting for a while, and that's only if somebody gives us a full price offer, which I don't think is probably that common in this area when there's tons of new construction that you're competing with. So I think it's just our best bet, our easiest, quickest bet to just go with them, even though we see there's some money on the table to be gained if we put in all the hard work and effort and stress. There is a little bit more money to be gained, but looking at how much would go into it and how many risks are associated with it, I don't know that the risk is worth the benefit for us. I think it's just easier to be like, okay, we're not going to make X number more dollars, but we're going to have the freedom and get out of it so much quicker. This is step one. I'll show you here. It is actually the 12th. You can see there's Olivia in her little Halloween costume. It is actually February 12th when we're starting this whole process. We just got their offer via email last night. We're looking into it now and hopefully we will. I'm really excited to get the heck out of here. And once we're actually moved out, I will give like the full tea. I will spill all the tea. I will give you guys all the details, all the tea on every little thing that went into us making the decision to move out of this area. So that's step one. Hopefully this vlog will be really long for you guys and I'll take you on this ride. We are going to have a meeting with our attorney this morning to go over the contracts and see if we're going to go there. And I really hope we are. I'm crossing my fingers that the contract is legit. It looks legit from my like very inexperienced eyes. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to work. I've got to leave here in a little bit less than an hour. I'm going to just take my nail polish off. You can see this is a week of wear here. And I started peeling them off last night because they were starting to bug me. So I know it's time to just take them off. I'm going to catch up on YouTube and just think happy thoughts leading into this meeting. It's actually Valentine's Day, and I forgot to update you guys yesterday about our meeting. It just happened to be like really quick. We went to the meeting and then I had to rush and pick Olivia up and then I never sat down to film this. But the meeting with our attorney went really well. They went over our entire contract. Everything is completely reasonable. I feel really confident moving forward. The only hurdle we're gonna have is the repair fees. I know there are a couple of repairs that need to be done and there's a couple of forms that we have to get notarized. We'll probably do that tomorrow. And then that's really all they need on our side of things. The inspector is gonna come next week. So that'll be my next update in this little series. Our close date, if everything goes well, is going to be on March 15th or sooner. It really depends on how quickly we can find a rental and get out of here. They will move up the date. They're really flexible on the close date and that makes it really easy for us. So as soon as we find a place and get moved out, we can close. So hopefully it'll happen before March 15th. It'll be awesome if we can get closed in the next couple of weeks. So next Wednesday, we will have our inspection and pretty soon after that, they should tell us what repair numbers we're looking at. And hopefully their fees aren't so bad so we can just pay them, find a rental and be done. I've been looking at the rentals in the area, but we really need to get past the repair fee hurdle before we actually start looking and committing to someplace. When we went to buy the house, we got a really comprehensive inspection and everything checked out. There were a couple minor things and most of the minor things we've already fixed, and we also put gutters on the house. So we've made one slight improvement to the house. We're just waiting for that inspection to come through and see what we're looking at as far as if this is gonna be a yes or no. And so far, everything seems to be working smoothly and I'm kind of shocked. I mean, I know their fee. Of course, we're paying more for this service versus we would pay to sell the house on our own, but the convenience factor so far is just above and beyond. You know, if we can get this contract done, if we can get the repair fees and agreement, then we can move out and we can be done and we don't have to scrub the house from top to bottom. We don't have to fix every little thing and make it perfect. We don't have to repaint. It's just going to be invaluable. So I really hope that this goes through. I'm just crossing my fingers. And I looked at their like typical repair things. They don't charge you for like cleaning stuff or basic things like filling in nail holes and touch-up paints and things like that. They will charge you if like one of your rooms is painted bright purple. They will charge you to paint it back to a neutral color, but they kind of expect it to be like a lived-in house. They're gonna have to do the cleaning and the touch-up paints and things like that that typically you need to do when you're going to sell the house. And our landscaping is pretty much done, but it's very weedy. So I don't know if they're gonna try to charge us for that. We're gonna do a little bit of weeding over the weekend to make it look a little nicer, but it's not gonna be perfect. So I'm not sure how they're gonna tackle that aspect of things. I'm really, really excited to see what they have to say. We've got to wait about a week and we will know. The inspector just left. I did go to the dentist, so I have fluoride on my teeth, so they do look really disgusting, but I gotta leave it on there for a little bit longer. The inspection went well. When he left, I asked him if he could tell me anything. He said, no, but your house looks good. And he said something along the lines of, he said, there's just a long list of very minor things that he found, so it should be okay. Hopefully they don't really inflate those repair costs, and we will know in the next couple of days if this is gonna start panning out, and we're gonna start looking for rentals. This is another moving vlog entry. We are officially selling the house. They told us the repair information on Thursday, and it is now Friday. They gave us the repair information. Everything seemed totally reasonable. Their numbers were totally reasonable. There was one number that I thought was a little bit excessive, but I wasn't gonna argue back and forth for a couple of bucks. Everything was really in line. They have to fix a couple of door jambs because some of our doors don't close very well. Like they'll lay flat, but the doorknob won't engage, so they've got to mess with a couple of doors. They charged us for that. They charged us for repainting the hallway area that you guys know I like half-heartedly painted and never finished. So they have on there a fee for that. Other minor little things, but the one that I thought was excessive, and maybe somebody can correct me, but we have one screen on a window that's just busted out. It has like a, you know, it's supposed to be flat, well, it like bends in and it doesn't fit flush with the window, so it does have to be replaced. I'm not saying anything about that. It definitely needs to be replaced, but they wanted $40 for that, which I feel like those screens cannot cost that much. It cannot cost that much to take the old one out and pop the new one in, but maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong. That was the only one that I was like, really, 40 bucks for basically just putting a new screen in? But I feel like I'd rather pay them to do it than us do it ourselves and then them have to come out and inspect again and like delay things. I just want to be like, fine, take the $40 for that and wrap everything else up. So we returned everything signed back to them last night and got the confirmation this morning that everything is official, and we're just now waiting for them to wrap up some stuff, and now we're in overdrive to find a rental. Jenny and I have been looking at the rentals, so we really know what's out there, and we have a few top contenders, and we're gonna go tour them starting tomorrow. So I'm hoping I can get to tour one of them this afternoon, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to get in this afternoon, but I've got a few tours planned for Saturday. I really liked one rental that was just a little bit too expensive. It would have worked. It would have basically been like what we're paying now for our mortgage, but it was really nice. It hit like all the dream home marks, and it was in the right location, and we were gonna tour it because it's just that nice. It's one that I thought like we could rent and possibly buy in the future. Like, it was that nice. But it's not gonna be available till May 1st. So that one's totally marked off the list. I don't even get to look at it, which is good because it was the most expensive one on the list. All the other ones are at least a couple $100 cheaper a month than that one. So it's probably better that it just wasn't meant to be and we could just mark it off the list and not think about it at all and not have to make the hard decision. The decision's made for us. So we've got a few that we both agreed on. There's one that I really, really, really like, and then there's one whose price I really, really, really like, and they're not the same one. So we're gonna look at those two for sure. I've got a couple more on my list to try to look at hopefully this weekend, and we can hopefully make a decision pretty quickly and get the ball rolling. Some of these rentals are available now, so if we like one, we need to go ahead and jump and get it. We have only a few more weeks until our close date, but if we get out sooner, we can close sooner. So I don't know how much they can move up the date, but I think they could probably close whenever, so long as the title stuff all works out. I know it takes time to like get all the transfer stuff. HOA is a whole other thing that has to happen at the same time. So we're waiting on a few people to make sure everything's lined up, and then we can close. It's especially crazier because this week I found out I'm pregnant. So it's just like, perfect timing that everything is working out the way it is. And I haven't told anybody in the neighborhood yet that we're moving. I've had a couple of mom things here and there. I talked to a few moms in the neighborhood. I haven't told anybody. And I'm gonna have to start telling people now because it's official now that everything's worked out. We're just waiting to close and waiting to find a new place. So I'm gonna have to start telling people, and I'm kind of bummed about that because I have made really nice friends here, and that's the only downside to this move is I have made some really nice friends here. We're gonna be in a different part of town, so it's not gonna be like people are gonna be right down the street and we can go to the park at the drop of a hat kind of thing. I feel like just as I'm making the friendships with the couple of people we're getting out. So I'm kind of bummed about that. It's for the best. I know, like, it's the right decision, but that part of it kind of sucks. But on a happier note, somebody in the neighborhood just moved in and wanted to get rid of all of their boxes. So I'm gonna go pick up their boxes this weekend, and I'm super excited. I hope they have enough that we get all the boxes we need and we don't have to buy any. If not, I will ask in the neighborhood. There's always new people moving in, so I'm sure we can get enough boxes.